Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm back with you with another how to pose people who are not models video, but this time the model or the non-model is going to be me, so it's going to be self-portraits. I think lots of you will find it interesting based on the previous video that I posted, so I just wanted to talk a bit more about how to take good self-portraits. It's just, directing models is one thing, but when you stand in front of the camera, it's a completely different thing. So I took it upon myself to basically learn how to pose and how to take nice photos for my cute little new Instagrams and show you guys how you can take your own. So before we get into this video, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and click the little bell button to not miss any of my future uploads. You're going to need a few things. You're going to need a camera of some sort. I have an iPhone and I have my Sony a6000 and the Canon 5D Mark IV that I'm filming on now. I think for the sake of this video, I'm going to be mainly using the a6000 because it's a small compact camera that I can take with me everywhere. I find the 5D has great quality images, but it's so big and bulky that I don't necessarily want to just like whip it out and, take photos with it all the time of myself. I just feel like it's a lot of hassle and people look at you differently when you have this big SLR as well, and I feel like the a6000 is way more inconspicuous, which I want. It has a Wi-Fi setting so I can sync it to my camera through some apps, and I can have a little preview of what I'm shooting and so on. I also have a tripod that I'm going to be using. If you don't have a tripod, it could be kind of tricky. You can try and set up your camera maybe on like a fence or on your bag or on top of cars, but it's usually way more tricky and way more limiting. I find when I take photos of models, not just of myself, I want to make sure I incorporate as much nature or as much architecture or whatever is behind the model as possible, because usually when you take a photo and you're not really sure what to do, if you take a really tight crop, there's loads of emphasis on your face and on, certain part of your body. But if you take a photo further down, it's much easier to make it more interesting, because the further the camera is and the more background you see, it makes an interesting image, but you are not necessarily the main focus. So usually when I take my own photos, I use the Wi-Fi option in the camera because then I can sync it to the app and I can have a preview and I can take the photos this way. It's much easier than having to do timers. So there's two ways I go about taking photos. I either use one of those apps and I take photos this way, or I just film continuous footage and then take screenshots or still frames out of that video. And I find taking a video is actually a really good way, because you film a continuous amount of footage, so you can do different variations of poses, so you can move around, do different things, try different things, and then as you review the footage, you have an endless amount of frames that you can use. Of course, the quality of the image is not going to be as amazing as taking a photo, but at the same time, let's be honest, most of us are using those photos for Instagram, and screenshots or stills from a camera video most of the time is way sufficient. If you have a DSLR of any sort, if you have like the a6000, it's totally perfect to just use those screenshots and the quality is going to be good enough. All I would recommend though, if you are doing the video, is to try and pretend in a way like you're taking a photo. So try not to be too dynamic with your movements, because then it's going to be hard to try on a still frame that is going to look good. So what I would do is I would pose the way I would usually take photos with my little, poses, but I would pause for maybe like half a second between each and just kind of slowly transition from one pose to the other. So then when I have the footage, it's very easy for me to cut it into little pieces and try and, kind of use it this way. When taking my own photos, usually my main goal is to make myself look as lean and elongated and slim as possible. So I always do a few tricks. I always make sure to have a good waistline. I usually wear clothing that reveals the waistline or kind of accentuate it. So I either wear crop tops and shorts, or I wear dresses that kind of wrap around the waist, just to give it a bit more definition. And it always helps in photos to just kind of make yourself look slimmer if you have that nice hourglass shape. I always try and pose in a way that kind of makes me a bit more curvy in the right places. So I would always push out my hip a tiny bit, or turn, if I'm shooting sideways, maybe turn a bit more towards the camera and stick out my bum, because this way it looks a bit more rounder. Crossing your legs is a very good option as well, because it again creates a slightly bit smaller waist and it just gives you a nicer look. I tend to play with my hair quite a lot because, as I said, I am quite uncomfortable in front of the camera. So playing with my hair, looking down, smiling, looking around. I found smiling works very well in photos for me. It's not the case for all people, but for me personally, I have a bit of a resting bitch face going on. So I find anytime I smile, I just look way more friendly and approachable and not like a miserable human being. So it always helps in my images. I find starting early in the morning, or going to places that are not as crowded, is usually a way better kind of way to go about it, rather than going into a busy street. Maybe try and find a cute little side street somewhere. It's way easier, and it's just making it a bit more interesting. I find light is everything. So when you take your own selfies, it's very, very important that you keep your light consistent and you don't have any harsh shadows. If you're shooting in direct sunlight, make sure you do it early enough so the sun is kind of low and it doesn't create those beautiful black panda eyes that we all love. Of course, you can create photos that are relatively nice that time of the day. Maybe if you're lying down, kind of maybe pointing your chin up, but in general it's just better to avoid those times of day. It's better to shoot either first thing in the morning or late in the afternoon, and this way you're going to have a much better light, much softer. It's going to be easier to work with it and create beautiful images. I also love backlit images as well, so if you are shooting later in the afternoon, play around with different setups, maybe face the light for a few shots, then turn around and kind of have it behind you. Just experiment with different lighting and different setups in general. Just make sure that if you are taking your photos, have your cute outfit on, have your hair and makeup done the way you like it the most. Just make sure that whatever you do and whatever you wear, you feel the most confident in yourself. Because if you don't feel confident, there's no way you're going to take good photos, because it is all about the self-confidence and it is going to show in the images. So even if you're not a great model, or even if you feel like maybe, I don't know, your body isn't where you want it to be, just fake it till you make it. Just make yourself look as cute and nice as possible. Make yourself feel as nice and cute as possible. And then try and take those photos, maybe take some video, as I said, and maybe mix it with some stills and see what works best. But I'm sure you're going to get a shot or two that you're happy with. Just experiment with different body angles, move around, make sure that you capture different angles. Maybe try a side angle, try one over your shoulder. As I said, trying to find maybe something like flower bushes and stuff looks very, very nice, because it adds so much color and texture into your images. I feel like the biggest thing with taking your own photos is just a matter of patience and just, knowing your strengths and trying to figure out your poses. I find that using the mobile app and having the live preview on your phone is super helpful when taking your own photos, because you can see exactly how you are and what poses look well. It's kind of like looking into the mirror. Obviously, as I mentioned, the biggest issue is just hiding away the phone. So I enjoyed shooting on my Canon because of that a bit more, because I can just press a button and record a video instead. And I have to say, I really, really enjoyed shooting video instead of photos. I find that it gave me way, way more choices and options for my poses. I was able to micro adjust the poses without much pain and, trying to hide my phone and all this kind of stuff. Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed my little demonstrations. I hope you found my tips helpful, and I would love to see the photos that you take using my tips. So if you do, please tag me in your Instagram. I would love to see it. And yeah, if you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.